This week on Cartoon Dumpster Dive, we dare to touch The Transformers, the movie. Joel, it's the Christmas month.
It is, Andrew.
We left on the Halloween month.
Yep.
We ignored the Thanksgiving month, like most of everyone.
So, surprise, there's not a lot of
Yeah.
content around Thanksgiving.
I can think of maybe 2 movies,
No. But
but
we're back.
we're back.
Guess who's back?
Oh, you did it. Damn it.
Dude,
At least it wasn't me this time. I'll go
I
with
couldn't
that.
resist. You told me that we shouldn't do it, and I was like, that's the first thing I'm going to do.
Yeah. So we're going to try to do animated Christmas movies
Yep.
for the month of December. And I know what you're thinking. You just heard me say we're covering The Transformers, the movie from 1986. Well, what is more Christmas than the merchandise and getting toys?
Hey,
So
I believe
there you go.
I believe anyone listening to our podcast, chances are when they was a kid, they wished and wished for that new Transformers toy for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
You know, I actually wasn't into the Transformers too much as a kid.
Really?
Well, I had an older brother and he broke all my stuff.
I gotcha.
And I guess you had older brothers.
Yeah, but we was all
But Transformers are delicate. I needed tough toys.
we honestly, the Transformers toys we had, you would probably have all the pieces for a solid 30 minutes and you would lose something, a head, an arm, something like that.
So, I guess we can't really review that theme song. You can review that intro
Dude.
of the Transformers movie. We're not going to play it
No, it's
due to copyright. Due to copyright
it's the
laws.
Transformers intro that everyone knows, but
Yeah.
it is like turned up to 11. It
Yeah, cranked up out the wazoo. I think Stan Bush sings that one too.
Transformers.
I think so.
Ugh.
It sounds like him.
It just comes in strong.
So obviously, this soundtrack is really good. I love this soundtrack.
Mm.
The whole movie soundtrack, honestly. And there's a little drama about that, as surprisingly enough, there's a lot of drama involving this entire movie.
Yeah.
From production to being in theaters to the reviews about it to everything about it.
Yeah, this
So,
was a wild movie when it was coming out in
oh man,
86.
This changed. The G.I. Joe movie was changed because of this movie.
Oh yeah.
So, in the grand scheme of Transformers, the quick history of Transformers is basically this: they had some toys that were made in Japan.
Yep.
They made a series about them, but it was only because of the Child Care Act got taken back, and by good old Ronald Ray.
Ron Reagan.
And that allowed shows like G.I. Joe and Transformers to be toy commercials in between the toy commercials.
Yeah.
So that's like the quick history of Transformers as a whole.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
This show has made me realize that like my whole life is just one commercial to buy things. Like just to like consume. And you're like, God, and it's like even knowing that and even looking back that all this movie is to show off the new toy line. I mean, really, that's it.
yep.
I still love it. It's still such a good movie.
It's so good, and maybe we fall victim to the, you know,
Might.
rose tinted glasses of nostalgia, but this movie, man, it's just warm and fuzzies all the way through. Whenever I think about this movie, it is just like my childhood in one movie. That's it.
This movie is for purchase on almost any streaming platform that you have to buy shit from.
Yeah.
But I recommend not doing that.
You can, I've saw, it's on YouTube. Like, there are people who have posted it.
This movie's been out for so long, there is absolutely no reason to pay full price. Unless you want a physical media copy, there's no reason to buy this movie.
I think I still have.
It is a great movie.
Yeah.
But you have a better chance of going to your, like, I don't know if Second and Charles is like a national brand, like chain or something, but like if there is a Second and Charles in your area, I guarantee you it's probably there.
Yeah.
It's probably there twice.
You could probably find this at any kind of like secondhand retail store.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this got made.
Oh man.
Joel.
So as you mentioned, Transformers, I don't think there's a person on this planet that probably really doesn't know of the franchise Transformers. I mean, we've had reboots more recently with the live action movies. But yes, just a toy line that was created back in the 80s from Hasbro and the Japan company Takahara made these transforming robots. Started a cartoon in 84. Cartoon became massive. Like, it's weird trying to explain how big Transformers.
Here's a good way to gauge how well the series did. The series Gen 1 came out in 1984. This movie is in 1986.
It was almost the writing for this movie basically started in 84. That's how quickly the TV show and the toy line blew up to the fact, well, they was just like, oh, well, we're gonna make a movie. It's already gained enough popularity where we can make a movie and it just be a cash cow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, what they saw doing Hasbro, you know, they wanted to make a movie. Really, their goal in making a movie was to create interest in a new line of Transformers.
Oh yeah. And what a way to do it. And create a new toy line by murdering the old one.
It was smart move, a dumb move.
Okay, so the two people who directed this movie, or there was a writer for this movie who, like, and the director, they fought so hard to keep one character in through the whole movie. So we can go ahead and kind of start talking about the movie, but it starts out with everyone's least favorite person, Daniel.
Well, the writer of the film, because I want to mention their names. The writer, Ron Friedman, and the director, Nelson Shin. Okay.
Yeah.
The Ron Friedman, he was the guy that they got to write the very first script to this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie had like at least three rewrites on record, but it went through several just constant, nope, change this, change that, change this. It went through a lot to get the movie we saw. But go on, Andrew. The movie starts where you see a floating planet in space. And it starts by showing you the inner workings of this planet, and you quickly realize that this planet is alive, a living machine. And it actually shows that there was another planet. And this always kind of, it made me question about the universe Transformers is in, because you see this moving planet, which, spoiler alerts, that's the the planet-sized Transformer Unicron,
voiced by none other than Orson Welles.
Fantastic.
His last role.
Great job in it too.
Little fun fact about Orson Welles coming in. He was not doing great when he was, and Nelson Shin was actually like, because he was like, Orson Welles would be how cool would it be? It's basically like us talking about like fan casting.
Yep.
He was just like, how cool would it be if we got Orson frickin' Welles to voice Unicron in our Transformers movie? There's no way he'd do it, because he's Orson frickin' Welles. But what if? You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't realize that the person he's talking to is like a casting director or something, and because they went out and they asked him, and his people were like, sure. Orson Welles before he passed away, he was very, I don't want to say bitter, but he was not super jazzed about being Unicron. In various interviews, he would talk about how I play a giant toy that fights other toys in a toy commercial movie.
Yep.
And he's right. He is. After he passed, one of his handlers or one of his nurses were just like, he probably just said that for the press. He was always grateful for any work that he would have, but he's always got like a little bit of sarcasm to him.
Yep.
But yeah, Orson Welles is the giant planet.
Yep.
Famous for his War of the Worlds broadcast on a radio that was done so well that people thought that aliens were invading the Earth.
That is
and I want to say it resulted in 7 fatalities.
That is a crazy story within itself. Maybe we should do a bonus episode of just that.
Oh, War of the Worlds, like the first one? I'd be down for that.
His radio broadcast and the shit that came from it. But yeah, so basically at the beginning, you see Unicron. You see how powerful Unicron is because he destroys a random planet, eats it for fuel. But on this planet, it's like an entire planet of other Transformers.
Yeah, that was the one thing about this movie as a whole. I just kind of assumed that all the Transformers lived
on Cybertron.
But as you explore this movie, because this movie is on Earth for maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then they're out. They're leaving.
Apparently, Earth is the only planet with humans.
Yeah, with like biological meat people.
Yeah, and the rest of the planets in the universe are just these transformer beings.
Yeah, robots.
So you get that. I think this is the part where you get the kick-ass intro that's redone. Oh man, just what a great way. Yeah. But then after the intro, then you it's starting to set up more of the story that we're going to be, really kind of focused on, because then it shows what I think at first it says it's taken place in 2005. That's all.
2005. It's my biggest complaint about the 2007 Transformers movie. If they had done it 2 years earlier, that would have been just the best Easter egg of all time.
Just cherry on top.
Yeah, I mean, those movies are shit, and perhaps there will be a live action landfill of One of
Maybe.
them. We're only doing one. I'm not watching all those movies.
But this is where you see basically the Autobots are. It's funny because the Autobots are kind of spying on what the Decepticons are doing on Cybertron. They are stationed out on one of the moon bases that surround Cybertron. You also find out the Decepticons are also spying on the moon bases to see what the Autobots are doing. They're running low on Energon, so if I'm not mistaken, they are going to basically send word to Autobot City on the planet Earth to get more Energon for the upcoming battle with the Decepticons to, of course, win back Cybertron. And this is where Optimus Prime then sends Ironhide, because I'll never forget, was it but Prime, but nothing Ironhide.
Peter Cullen voices both Optimus Prime and Ironhide, and you got to give him some credit. I did not know that until I looked.
Great.
I did not. I knew he voiced Optimus Prime, obviously,
but not Ironhide.
But I didn't know he did Ironhide too.
But so basically, at this point, Optimus Prime sends a shuttle, a group of Autobots to Autobot City to kind of, gather more Energon and come back. But of course, this is when you find out that Decepticons are spying on what's going on at the moon base. They plan to intercept the ship heading to Autobot City because they wanted to use that ship as like a Trojan horse. Infiltrate the ship, land on Autobot City, then basically take over Autobot City.
And then the world or universe or whatever their goal really was. I'm not entirely sure.
And this is the first scene in the movie when you realize, like, oh, shit's getting real. Like, this isn't
this ain't your grandpappy's Transformers.
Because when the Decepticons break into this ship, they murder all the Autobots. All of them.
So this was there's a guy named Frank Dolly. He did rewrites for Friedman.
Yep.
So Friedman's original. So like when you get to this scene, all the Transformers, Ironhide, Ratchet, Bumblebee. I can't remember who else is on that, but it's the main cast.
Yeah, you've got Ironhide, Prowl, Ratchet, Brawn. I think Bumblebee is on that.
Yeah,
and
so they are killed basically off screen, more or less.
Well,
Friedman's original script is like some of them are being like Megatron blasts one guy in half, vertically.
Yeah.
Not horizontally. They're getting fucked up. They're like getting this one is just a shootout. They're like, oh, it's like the old Wild West cowboy.
Dude,
shootout. But in the original script,
they die.
They're getting like, yeah, they die, but you don't see it the way that Friedman wanted you to see it.
Yeah.
Like he basically wanted to torture them. Realistically, if these deaths were left in, Prime's death wouldn't be as traumatic because you'd still be pale-faced
from all the other ones.
From the massacre you just watched.
Dude, I'm not going to lie, because when Ironhide dies, because he gets shot like square in the chest, his life leaves his eyes. You see the lights in his eyes go out. And there was a smoking hole from his chest, and he just crumbles to the floor. That's still pretty intense.
That is, especially for like what is essentially a child's movie. Like you wouldn't see that shit nowadays. Like in Frozen 3, they fucking shoot Hans point blank in the head.
But Andrew, we gotta make new toys. We gotta have a new toy line.
It's like Hans really wasn't selling in the plush department, so we had Olaf fucking stab him with an icicle, and you're like, Jesus, you don't think you could lighten that up a bit?
Bam.
So yeah,
So that
we're getting
this is one.
where are we at
So
now?
you see this massacre happen. They're still heading to Autobot City, and this is when you finally see what's going on in Autobot City. It's a relaxful day. You see a crystal clear lake, and guess what? You are introduced to Daniel, who is Spike's
That's right.
son, and Hot Rod, the new edgy, cool Transformers that all the kids.
Edgy. What do you mean,
Dude,
edgy?
he had the wings on the back, had the fire
Are
emblem.
you saying because he's a sports car? Because his personality isn't edgy.
No, he looks edgy. That's it. He's just that
okay.
edgy
Yeah, I got
look. But you see,
He's edgy in the fact he has edges.
exactly. They are just fishing, enjoying a peaceful day at Autobot City. And then Daniel gets a notification on basically what is supposed to be like, I guess, his cell phone of the day. It's just like a communicator. And it lets him.
Yeah, it's a communicator watch, basically.
It lets him know that there was a ship that is about to land in Autobot City, and they're thinking that this is the supply run from one of the moon bases, and this is when you really start getting a hint of how great the soundtrack is to this movie.
Yes, this is the not iconic Stan Bush song.
Which, okay, I might like this song more than the other one.
I like Dare. I like Dare better than The Touch.
Because
I'm not afraid to admit
Dare
that.
is fantastic, but this is
Dare is way better.
this is when you get that line. Well, Daniel says, "Hot Rod." No, it's the shuttle's about to land. Let's go watch it. And then he gets off on his hoverboard, and he's like, flying through this like valley. And then he crashes the hoverboard and he goes like flying up into the air, and Hot Rod catches him and he's like, if you're going to ride, Daniel, ride in style. And then he basically throws Daniel up in the air, transforms, and then Daniel lands in the driver's seat.
really fluid animation sequence.
Fantastic
might I add.
animation sequence. And this is kind of, so those starting to drive through, you kind of get introduced to Cup in this scene, because Cup is actually like, he's blocking off a part of the road for some reason, and Hot Rod just doesn't care, just blast through it. And this is when you get the famous line, because Daniel's just like, let's stop here. And Hot Rod hits him like, why take a peek, Daniel, when you can see everything from Lookout Mountain?
I don't think that's a famous quote. I think you just like that quote.
I feel like every quote in this movie is famous to me because it lives in my
to
head.
you, every quote. I'm just letting you know right
Okay.
now. There's only one famous quote in this movie, and it's "One shall stand and one
Okay,
shall fall."
true. But so they get to Lookout Mountain. They watch the shuttle, and Lookout Mountain is literally just top of a mountain peak with like
It's the mountain next to Autobot
Yeah.
City.
Daniel uses a pair of binoculars at Lookout Mountain to see that there's a hole in the shuttle. Then Hot Rod, using his advanced eyes, sees that there are Decepticons aboard the ship.
Which, pretty on brand.
Is that
They were being very deceptive
I've never understood.
getting on to Autobot City. I'm just saying.
They're using deception, these Decepticons.
They're using deception. They are the Decepticons.
How dare they play dirty?
Do they also... I feel like one of the things that the Decepticons should also do is like the African Prince scam in more modern Transformers. Like, just like deception, or like do like robocalls, because I mean, they might need money to fund their nefarious ways.
I just picture
Inflation has affected us all in various ways, and that also includes evil robots. That's all I'm trying to say.
I picture a call center cubicle, and you just see Soundwave transformed into his boombox, and he's just got like a cable running out of it, and a tape's constantly playing. It's just like a spam call.
I'm sure they could trick several elderly into something.
Oh yeah. But this is when Hot Rod.
Are you familiar with these fraudulent charges on your credit card? Oh my goodness. No. Give me your credit card information. Grandma, what the fuck? He's clearly a robot.
That's clearly Soundwave, Grandma. Come on.
That is clearly Soundwave from the Transformers universe. I don't even know how anyone could get scammed this badly, you fucking old bitch. This is why you go to that home where that was on the news that one time. And she's like, they don't feed me. Anyway, okay. Let's keep going.
So Hot Rod shoots down the spaceship single-handedly in one blast. I've never understood that. Apparently he's got enough juice to just completely disintegrate.
Power scaling in the Transformer universe is wildly inconsistent.
It is.
For instance, the big cannon that Megatron has, if you look at the shot for shot, Megatron's big cannon has less kills than when he's turned into a gun.
More compact, concentrated, maybe? I don't know.
Guess. I don't know.
But this is when the battle for Autobot City kind of officially begins. The Decepticons come out of the space shuttle. You get some pretty cool scenes like Cup. I forgot what Decepticon it is that can transform into like the helicopter and tank. But that's where Cup basically does that cool 360 around the tank barrel and pulls up the barrel to change the aim of the guy's shot.
Yeah. Okay.
But this really...
I mean, that fight in itself is pretty epic. They pull out fucking everybody. The Dinobots are there. Devastator's there. I mean, everybody that when you're a child, you're like, that's fucking cool. They're there.
Yeah, and this is really when they... Because remember, the whole movie is ultimately to say goodbye to the old toy line and introduce a new one. And this is when they really kind of start driving home some of the new Autobots that they want you to fall in love with. Because you kind of start getting introduced to RC, the first female Transformer.
Something that Hasbro was very much against. Yep. That was another thing that Friedman had to really fight for.
Oh, yeah. He wanted one in
Nelson
there.
Shin had his back. But, one of the many fights in the behind the scenes of this movie was just the addition of RC at all. The existence of a female Transformer.
So...
And his only reasoning was, which is pretty funny, it's very much a Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever.
Okay.
Or is it Batman and Robin? Whichever one he's in.
I think because he was Two-Face.
Yeah.
Is that Batman and Robin?
I think that's Batman Forever.
Oh, I can't remember.
Anyway, his kids liked it, so he did it. And so this is why RC exists. He had a daughter. His daughter liked Transformers. And it wasn't like she was like, gee, I wish there was a girl Transformer. That would really make me feel included. He was just like, they probably want one.
Yep.
Let's get one.
Make it pink.
But Hasbro was like, a robot with boobs? Do you realize what you'll do if we put this out there? I mean, really, I'm kind of a little on Hasbro's side with this one.
Yeah.
They didn't know. They didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't know the sexual awakenings that they was giving people.
They had no idea what metallic thighs would do to lonely men in 1986.
But this really is where they, you get your first look at Ultra Magnus here, who he
Yep.
is basically the Autobot that's in charge of Autobot City. You get introduced
Yep.
to Blur, all these different casts.
Most annoying Transformer. Of
Oh,
all
Blur?
time, by the way.
100%.
Blur. I hate Blur.
So at this point, the Decepticons are just raining down fire on Autobot City, where the Autobots manage to get a message out to Optimus Prime and the moon base that they need reinforcement. And this
That's right.
this onslaught of Autobot City lasts basically 24 hours, because there's a whole scene where it shows like from day to night to the following day. Finally, at this point, Devastator has been assembled to try to break down the walls. They're just wreaking havoc. Finally, Optimus Prime comes in with the Dinobots and himself. That's all he needed. He just needed himself, basically.
If you think about it, if I remember the Gen 1 as well as I do, there were two Transformer arcs that were like, they were basically fighting to have them on their side. Because the Constructicons, they didn't really care about the war between the Autobots or the Decepticons. They were just like, the whole story was like trying to get them recruited. Because they didn't have a bias either way. And for whatever reason, they went to the Decepticons. Probably because their name is Devastator, not Super Big Hero Guy.
Would have been a different story.
But, so what do you transform into? Oh, Super Big Hero Guy. Oh, okay, you should come with us.
We're the bad guys. Come with us.
Yeah, we're the bad guys. They really throw them off. And then we have the Dinobots, and the Dinobots were, they made them.
Yep.
But they were made to, they had to have something. So, because they were getting their ass handed to them by Devastator like every week.
Dinobots were like the edgy Autobots. They had low IQs like dinosaurs, but they would end up like causing more harm in the process of beating.
Well, they were the powerhouses.
Exactly.
They were, if you needed to get shit done, that's what you would do.
That's it.
And like same with Devastator. They only threw Devastator out when they were losing.
Yep.
And then, you throw out Devastator, and just because it was a good balance, because just because they had the Dinobots didn't automatically mean they were going to win.
Yep.
But I digress.
But this is the scene that you get when Optimus arrives in Autobot City, and he says the line, "At the end of this day, one shall stand,
One shall stand,
and one shall fall."
One shall
and
fall.
that's when you hear, "Ew, you got the touch."
That's when Stan Bush's The Touch starts playing, and it's followed by a maybe 3-minute animation sequence of Optimus Prime just dunking on the Decepticons like it's like 360 no scopes.
It starts out with him just transforming to his semi trailer and running over like 8 Decepticons.
And he jumps and he spins around. He shoots a bunch
He's
of
like
them.
upside down,
where was
just
this Optimus Prime earlier. Holy shit!
Dude, the call it the camera work, the angles that they took when he is just wrecking shit, it's incredible. Like, I'll never forget when he does that, when he launches from his truck form, transforms, he's upside down shooting Decepticons, and when he lands, they've got this low angle, like from his feet, from the ground shot of him just shooting, just destroying everything. But finally, after basically Optimus has destroyed probably half of the Decepticon fleet, is finally for his battle, the one battle between Megatron, and it is a doozy of a fight.
Yeah. I'll rip out your optics. Frank Weller coming in hot with
it
being Megatron along with like 20 other people.
And
just to give you an idea.
And it's
of who Frank Welker was voicing during this.
If you want to just see an awesome animated fight between two, robots, that fight's awesome. But this is
Frank Welker.
Go for it.
Just to give him credit. Frank Welker's Megatron, Soundwave, Rumble, Frenzy, Ravage, Wheelie, and Junkicon.
He's Wheelie? Really?
Yeah, he's Wheelie.
Okay.
Yep.
Did not know that. And Junkicon?
He's all of Soundwave's cassettes too. I didn't know that.
That's crazy. But this is at the end of the battle. And look, this has been a conversation that me and my brothers have had for a long time. And it's the fact that Hot Rod is kind of a little bitch. Okay?
Hot Rod gets Optimus killed.
Bingo.
I don't know if anybody. Yeah, Hot Rod should have stayed out of it.
Yep.
Because Optimus was about to win.
Optimus had it in the bag. I don't understand.
He had it in the bag.
Look,
it was fucking game over. And Hot Rod comes in for whatever reason. And he gets fucking in the way, hostage situation, and Megatron shoots Optimus like however many
I think it's
times.
3 times.
Yeah, he shoots him 3, and he's like, fall! And you're like, fuck, he's dying.
Yeah, like he gets nasty injured. It's like a gut shot. Well, he doesn't have blood, but electricity is visibly like
I love that
going out.
I mean, I guess they could have done like the textbook token robot blood
oil,
yeah. But which I never truly got. I mean, I guess you have to lubricate them
and
to a capacity, but just because you hit a robot doesn't mean it's going to bleed oil.
And here's my thing. Now thinking about that scene, because you are correct, the whole reason Hot Rod jumps in between this battle, because Megatron is pleading for mercy, and Optimus is like, mercy? Like, why should I take mercy on you?
You without mercy now beg for
Yes.
it? I thought you were made of sterner stuff.
Oh, so good.
Solid line.
But Hot Rod sees that Megatron is going for this pistol, and he jumps in to try to save him. Dude, all Megatron does is throw Hot Rod off to the side. Hot Rod could have got back up, tried to fight Megatron again to save Optimus, but he did nothing. He just laid over there and let Megatron blast him 3 times.
He got his ass caught.
But this is Optimus being the man that or the robot that he is. Megatron walks over there to give Optimus the final blow. But this is where Optimus, from the ground, just takes both of his fists, like his hands, put them in one fist, and just uppercuts him. And knocks him down like 3 stories.
Yeah. He fucks him up.
That one hit just took Megatron
it
out.
obliterates him. It's awesome.
That's it.
So, yeah, I think they won the day, basically.
The battle...
I think Soundwave scoops up. We didn't even mention that Starscream had to shoot off his own foot.
Oh, yeah. Starscream had to shoot off his own foot because it got trapped in, like, the Autobot city transforming.
Once they realized that they had got decepted by the Decepticons, they transformed the city. And Starscream, being one of the faster jets, he tries to go in, but he gets caught, and he has to shoot off his own foot. I also remember Optimus Prime runs over an Insecticon's head.
Yep, like falls on, just splats it.
Yeah, smashes that fucking thing.
But you are correct. The battle is over. Both the leaders, Megatron and Optimus, are like severely wounded. And this is this is actually one of the new Decepticons, Astro Train.
Favorite Transformer
So cool.
ever.
So
He
cool.
transforms into a robot, into a rocket ship, and into a train.
Train. So all the Decepticons load up onto Astro Train and head back to Cybertron. This is where we get the scene of Optimus dying.
So,
We've got a lot to
Both
talk
free-
about this.
yeah. So both Friedman and Nelson Shin, they both were heavily against killing Optimus Prime. In fact, in one of the original scripts, the movie was about him.
Yep.
Like, he was going to go inside the center of Cybertron and
Yep.
figure out the secrets and the origins of the Transformers. But that obviously didn't happen. A lot of it was, they were like, are we discontinuing Optimus Prime toys? And they're like, no. And a lot of it was, he was like, we can't kill basically the father figure of this show. Like, you can't kill the dad.
I have a quote from Friedman. He said in a 2013 interview, to remove Optimus Prime, to physically remove Daddy from the family, that wasn't going to work. I told Hasbro and their lieutenants they would have to bring him back, but they said no and had great things planned. In other words, they was going to create new, more expensive toys.
Yeah. The news was so, like, gut-wrenching to Nelson Shin that he took a vacation. And when he came back, basically when he came back, like, almost all the damage that a lot of the script's damage that he was against was kind of done.
Oh, yeah.
And so the death of Optimus Prime is indeed super sad.
Dude, so my parents will tell a story so my brother, he was born just 1 year before this movie went to theaters.
Right.
He loved Transformers. He didn't watch it until he was 5 or 6. So my parents had it on VHS. And my parents will tell the story about how they put it into the VHS. He was watching it. And they were in the kitchen. And he comes out of the living room, eyes just bawling hysterically, and was just like, Optimus is dead. Just couldn't handle it. Before we move on to this, I got another quote. I thought this one was pretty good. This actually comes from a story consultant of the movie by a guy named Flint Dill. He said,
Right.
we didn't know that he was an icon. It was a toy show. We just thought we were killing off the old product line to replace it with new products. Kids were crying in theaters. We heard about people leaving the movie. We were getting a lot of nasty notes about it. There was just some kid who locked himself in his bedroom for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Dill is also the one who rewrote a lot of Flint stuff.
Oh, yeah. They killed off Optimus. Kids everywhere devastated. But why did they kill off Optimus? Because they wanted to pass the mantle on to a new toy. And in the movie, Optimus, he opens his chest, and there it is, the Matrix of Leadership.
And in fact, one of the rewrites, it was called the Spark.
It was.
And in the rewrites, Flindell changed it to the Matrix of Leadership. So I wonder if that's why they used the Allspark in the 2007.
It could be. I know, like in the first version of Friedman's script, it was supposed to be more of a soul, like Optimus
Yeah, it
soul,
was.
instead of just this one thing. But, you know, Optimus passes on the matrix of leadership to Ultra Magnus. Ultra Magnus says a couple of things about, like, but I'm not ready, you know, to be the leader and everything else. And as he's going to hand him the matrix of leadership, he dies and it starts falling to the ground. And, like, everybody is going to catch it. But who is the one that catches it but Hot Rod? He catches it.
They don't foreshadow anything in that scene.
I
at
know,
all.
right?
There's no giant blue glowing angelic choir effect that happens when he grabs it. And it's actually it's kind of a missed opportunity that they didn't do that. I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah,
They
really
didn't do
right
that.
on the nose on that part, isn't it?
Yeah, this ham-fisted, barely foreshadowed moment that Hot Rod might be using
Yep.
the Matrix of Leadership
Yep.
later.
So when that happens,
They do all
Yeah,
of that,
they-
by
they
the way.
do.
Just to
so Ultra Magnus takes, you know, which to me, this is always one of the weirdest scenes in the movie because the animation is so strange. Like, Ultra Magnus is basically a semi truck as well.
He is so. You know how when you're playing Street Fighter and two people pick the same character and they kind of color swap Ryu? That's what Ultra
Yeah.
Magnus is. Ultra Magnus is the Luigi to Optimus Prime being Mario.
Exactly. Yeah, so
he's a palette swap.
So Ultra Magnus, his chest opens, and really go back and watch this scene. It's so strange. He puts the matrix of leadership inside of his chest, and then it's like he gets uncomfortable, takes it back out, repositions it, and puts it back in. It's like, why did you even need to do that? But they did it.
Yeah, just to show that he wasn't a good fit.
Yep. There you go.
There you go. Check out that
Look
analogy.
there.
Hey.
So then it goes to the Decepticons. So it shows Astro Train flying through space.
I want to. Okay, say that again. Say what he's flying through again.
Space.
The vacuum of
Okay.
space.
All right,
Okay.
fine.
Go
Fine.
ahead. Just go ahead with the rest
Fine.
of what Astro Train claims happens.
All right, so he's okay. I see where you're going with this. So he's flying through space. He tells all the Decepticons, because you've got the Decepticons who are injured and you've got the ones that aren't injured inside of Astro Train, and he's saying he is running out of fuel and that they need to jettison some weight or they'll never make it back to Cybertron.
They're in space. There's no weight. Everyone is weightless.
I know, Andrew.
And as far as I can gather, they don't need to do atmospheric pressure to the hull of the spaceship because they don't breathe.
Yeah, and case in point, because what happens next is they take a vote and they vote to basically throw out all the injured Decepticons. And this includes Megatron.
Starscream could not fucking wait.
He immediately
He personally threw his ass out
and
into
was at
space.
Megatron in that squeaky voice of his, wait,
I still function.
and they throw him out, and then you kind of see these Decepticons just floating in space, and all of a sudden you see Unicron approaching them, and basically what happens here is Unicron, you kind of find out when the Matrix of Leadership, when it kind of awakens, when Hot Rod touches it, it sends a signal to Unicron.
Yeah.
You come.
The only thing that can defeat Unicron is the
Yeah.
matrix of leadership, which I feel is untrue. I feel like if you shot him with a big enough ray gun, he would die.
Yeah, I think so too. So at this point, Unicron is basically looking for some henchmen. He finds these Decepticons who are about to, die, basically. And he basically gives them an option to, hey, if you come work for me, become my henchman, my pawn, I will somehow rebuild you in 80s glorious fashion.
You will serve me. And he's like, I will build you with, and all you have to do is like undying loyalty and serve me, which it's a killer line of exchange where Megatron goes, nobody commands Megatron. And Unicron goes, it pleases me to be the first. I'm like, fuck, that's a line right there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just like, I really want to use that with somebody who's like a badass dude. Like people like, I'm fucking badass, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nobody tells me what to do. I'm like, well, then it pleases me to be the first, motherfucker. And then he like, everybody's like, oh, and then I get like my absolute shit rocked in because he just beats the hell out of me. I'm like, I still got you all flustered. I got to pick up my teeth now, but I feel like I won the battle at least.
Yeah. You're never going to relive. You're never going to recover from that. So this is when Megatron agrees. So he basically takes all the Decepticons and he gives them new bodies. This is when Megatron then becomes Galvatron. He renames them.
Voiced by Leonard Nimoy.
Great job, too.
I know. And then he's cursed forever to be Spock and Galvatron till his passing in 2015.
Hey, he made plenty of money from it, so hey.
He did. I mean, I don't know if I personally would sacrifice the peace of anonymity doing that, but yeah, he lived a life better than most, and he got to be a Transformer and in Star Trek.
So this is when Unicron transforms Megatron into Galvatron, and then the other troops, Cyclonus, Scourge, and a group of sweeps, basically just throw away Transformers or the sweeps.
Yeah. I want to say that Cyclonus is the first racist Transformer.
Oh,
because he turns into a jet and he finds any robot that doesn't fly like less than, and I'm pretty sure that's him.
Maybe it's like not ableist. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I get what you mean.
I don't know if it's ableist because I mean, I did notice, if you ever notice or you look back at Gen 1, there are barely any flying Autobots.
Yep. Starscream, like his little group, are like the only jet ones back in those days. Then Unicron also gives them a full functioning spaceship that he just had chilling.
Why not?
First thing, Galvatron, Megatron, who is now Galvatron, first thing he does, he's like, I'm going to go reclaim my throne at the Decepticons. Because
Starscream gets to be the leader of the Decepticons for a record-breaking maybe 30 minutes.
If that.
Yeah, because he dies during his
like
coronation.
30 seconds.
So they have barely gotten back as far as time is concerned.
They crown him, and the moment they crown him, Galvatron and his troops sweep in, and this is when Galvatron says, "Coronation, more like bad comedy." And then he disintegrates Starscream.
Yeah, and then this is also where you learn what Galvatron transforms into, which is like a mortar shell cannon, but it's a fucking laser
It makes
beam.
more sense than Megatron transforming into a handgun.
I guess, but I guess he can aim his like
Himself.
cannon.
He can
self.
shoot
Because
himself.
anytime he turns into the gun, he has to have somebody shoot for him. So yeah, that's a pretty good point.
So basically, he destroys Starscream. All the other Decepticons are like, "Who's this fella?" And he's like, "I'm your new leader, Galvatron."
They say it exactly like it. They go, "Who's this
Yeah,
fella?"
like that's basically it.
Because apparently the Transformers all watch fucking the Andy Griffith show.
This is when you kind of see, I guess, the power that Unicron has over Galvatron. Because Unicron is not happy that that was the first thing he went to do. So he basically uses like telekinesis or something to cause incredible pain to Galvatron, because he told Galvatron to go destroy the Matrix of Leadership, but he's not doing that. So when Galvatron finally says, fine, I'll go do it, he basically gets, back on his spaceship with the rest of everybody else, and he's like, let's head back to Autobot City, finish the job. This is the part that you see the Autobots are basically recovering from this, big battle. They're kind of loading up spaceships to go back to the moon bases. But while they're still in the middle of loading these ships, Galvatron, his troops swoop in, stop blowing shit up. This is when you find out, Scourge is racist against non-flying.
Is that when?
Yeah, because he says something about like, I can't remember what it is. He says something at that point. So.
And he opened his wings, and there was a rebel flag, and you're like, "Wow!"
Dixie was playing in the background.
The first time I watched.
So the Autobots set off in two ships while being pursued by Galvatron and them. Now, one of the ships, the ship that is carrying Hot Rod, the Dinobots, and Cup, they get like an engine blown and end up crash landing on this one planet. Really, Galvatron's only caring about the Matrix of Leadership, so he continues on the ship that has Springer, Ultra Magnus, Blur, RC, and Daniel at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, they give Daniel his very own like exoskeleton Transformer suit at this point.
Yeah, because Spike has one too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it only makes sense that he would. I mean, they got to make him somewhat useful. If you're a person in Transformers, the best case scenario is you do not end up collateral damage between 20-foot robots just absolutely going ham on our planet as their own personal battlefield.
So Ultra Magnus and them, they use a clever ploy to kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but basically the very front of the spaceship can detach from the rest of the body, and they time it just right so when these rockets come in, the main part of the ship blows up and they can kind of escape unnoticed. They end up crash landing on like a junkyard planet. You see that Hot Rod and Cup, they've crash landed on this like weird metallic planet, though actually underwater. They're having to fight some robot squid at this point.
Oh yeah, no, they haven't ran into the Transformers.
No, not yet. Well, Hot Rod saves Cup from this robot squid, patches him up. Then they get kind of surrounded by these robot sharks. And this is when Hot Rod and Cup talk about, let's use the universal greeting. And the universal greeting is when you offer a piece of energon, because apparently, like I said, the entire universe is just Transformers.
That was another thing that made me kind of weirded out, that the whole point of Transformers is they came to Earth because we have a huge surplus of Energon. How come none of these other robots have tried to invade Earth?
It's because they're not fighting a war that consumes all this energy.
I guess. Sucks that we were the closest
I
planet.
know.
I guess we had the most Energon because none of us are robots.
So Hot Rod does a universal greeting, which is Ba Weep Grana Weep Nini Bong. They don't really understand the universal greeting. They just eat the Energon and want more. And when they can't get more, they basically capture Hot Rod and Cup, and they take them prisoners.
Yep.
This, you kind of see the other Transformers on the junkyard planet. They're trying to kind of just figure out what's going on. It kind of goes back to Hot Rod and Cup. You kind of see them at a kangaroo court with the Quintessensins.
Yeah. They're the guys who go guilty or innocent.
Though actually
and if you're innocent, you die. So I don't even know what happens if you're
here's
guilty.
a nice little tidbit for them. The Quintessens, I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
They're actually supposed to be the creators of all Transformers. Yeah, nice
okay.
little, fan history there. But they basically sentence Hot Rod and Cup to death by falling into this lake with a bunch of other, like, shark robots. Cup and Hot Rod just transform into their car forms and drive really fast around it.
Yeah. Do a whirlpool.
So they can drive
I
out.
remember that. They get out almost immediately.
This is when you find out that the Dinobots have picked up this small little Transformer by the name of Willie, and he's kind of joined their team. They crash the court. Basically, they all kind of fight, save the day. Willie points out that there's a ship that they can use to kind of find the rest of the Autobots. So that kind of, finishes up that little story about Cup and Hot Rod. This is when you kind of go back to the junk planet. And all of a sudden you start seeing that, maybe they're not alone on the junk planet. And these other Transformers appear out of the junk, start chasing the Autobots. And this is when you get Weird Al Yankovic's
Dare
to be stupid playing. And really at this point it's Galvatron and them come back to finish the job because they find out
they're back.
They find out that the job wasn't completed, so they basically blow up Ultra Magnus. Like, they interrupt the Junkacons and the Autobots, like, little battle, and they end up just completely blowing up Ultra Magnus. And at this point...
That was another rewrite that they did.
Really?
Ultra Magnus was originally supposed to, like, die screaming and melt.
Oh, God.
I think this is before... I think Friedman was like, well, it's their soul. So the spark is your soul. The matrix of leadership wasn't like an actual thing. It was just like something that came out of you. So they were like, well, it doesn't matter what happens to the body then. So they were just like Galvatron was supposed to disintegrate him.
And this...
Well, I guess melt him.
Yeah, something like that.
Because before the disintegration, he was like, it was like Wicked Witch of the West, I'm melting.
Yeah.
But they decided to, I guess, go with a more repairable demise.
And this is when you find out that Ultra Magnus, because he tries to open the Matrix of Leadership, but cannot do it. And then he blows up. Galvatron takes the Matrix of Leadership and then hauls ass off the planet.
Can we just point out that the Transformers must be some of the dumbest fucking things on the universe? Because both Galvatron and Ultra Magnus try to open it the same
Just
way.
by like clawing at it.
Going at the middle and trying to pry it open from the middle. Joel, you've seen the movie. I've seen the movie. We know what this thing looks like. What is on the side?
There are two handles.
Of the Matrix of
two
leadership.
handles with 4 finger plugs.
4 fucking holes. 4 square holes. What are the Transformers' fingers? They're squares. It cannot be any more user friendly
for a advanced robot race. They are not that smart.
No, I never got why that happened. Like why they do that.
This is when I think at this point, because the Junkacons have not been introduced. So when Ultra Magnus dies, this is when you kind of see the Junkacons come out. They start attacking the rest of the robots or the Autobots. Before, all the Autobots get destroyed, Hot Rod and Cup land on the planet in this new spaceship. They come out.
Yeah.
They do the universal greeting again. Then it's peace.
Yep.
And this is also when you find out that the Junkacons speak TV.
Yeah. We speak TV. The leader of the Junkacons, by the way, is voiced by Eric Idle, who people will know from basically Monty Python stuff.
Yep. Kind of looks like him too, slightly.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see
it's not quite Shark Tale Will Smith levels, but yeah.
But this is when the Junkacons basically tell them, hey, don't worry about your bro Ultra Magnus. We collected the 30 pieces of him. We can fix them with wax. And they basically just put them back together and just give them a nice waxing.
I think they say like healed. 30 money back guarantee. Something like that.
And the whole time I'm sitting there wondering, like, what?
What is that wax made out of?
Why don't you just take some of this wax and go back to Optimus Prime and just
because Ultra Magnus didn't turn gray. If you notice, the permanent dead ones, they're gray.
Turn gray.
Starscream turns gray, and Optimus Prime turns gray. So whatever happened to them, I guess it doesn't buff out.
So this is when they convince the Junkacons to help them in their quest to destroy Unicron.
Yeah.
And this is like the final, we've kind of missed the spot where you actually then get to see Unicron. It's actually a few segments before, but you actually see Unicron eat one of the moon bases.
Yeah.
This is where Bumblebee
Jazz calls out for it.
Yeah. He eats, Jazz to Moonbase 2.
Jazz to Moonbase 2. Jazz to Moonbase 2. This scene was also in the writer's room heavily disputed.
Really?
One of the things that is in this is we see Unicron crashes into one of the moon bases and eats it.
Yep.
This is where you hear the one curse word in the entire movie said by Spike. He goes, shit, what are we going to do now? So,
because Unicron then eats the second moon base that has Bumblebee and Spike.
That's right.
On there.
And, no, it's Cliffjumper. Because Bumblebee already got murdered. Cliffjumper and Bumblebee look exactly the same, but Cliffjumper is red.
I know, but no, this is Bumblebee
on
the moon base, because I remember you see Bumblebee once they save Spike.
Okay. But anyway, so Friedman, he was not a fan of them using a curse word. The producers loved it. Because that meant that the Transformers movie went from a G rating to a PG rating, which would pique the interest of parents as to why it would have a PG rating. That's literally the only thing, because both Nelson Shin and Friedman, they were like, I don't want to have cursing in this movie. That's not the place for it, or something like that. And the director was also like, I don't want to put swearing in the film, but it was intentionally put after the movie was almost complete, so they could get their PG rating. So it could be, it could be edgy. People would wonder why it was rated PG.
Yep. This ain't your grandpappy's Transformers,
Even
let me
though
tell
it
you.
kind of is, because it's only been 2 years since it came out.
I know. But so going back, the Autobots and the Junkacons arrive at Unicron, because Unicron is actually going to eat Cybertron.
Yeah. He's had enough of these robots and their bullshit.
Galvatron is not happy with this. Galvatron has the Matrix of Leadership, and he is trying to use it to basically free himself from the control of Unicron.
Yeah.
This is, well, basically what happens is the ship that Hot Rod and Cup's in, they crash it like right through Unicron's eye, because at this point, Unicron has transformed.
Yeah.
To his robot form.
This is when you first see it, because he hadn't. So Galvatron comes back to Unicron and he tries to destroy him with it right then and there.
Yep.
And he's like, well, if you're gonna be a little punk ass about this, I'm gonna eat Cybertron. That way you have nothing. You don't have to worry about ruling Cybertron because it's not gonna be there.
Yep.
And so also, another part about this scene, because it's the Junkacon ship that they fly in there, that thing takes a full blast from Unicron and is unfucking phased.
Dude, these Junkacons, I don't know what they are doing, but
thank God those motherfuckers aren't aggressive.
Yeah, they would own everything.
Because they got the defense like no one else's business. Like, I'm looking at this, because one would assume all the other spaceships have basically been taken out by pretty basic attacks, like rockets, a laser. In the beginning of the movie, Megatron shoots the side of the Autobot ship with his regular gun, and it was able to breach the hull.
Yep.
This is the fucking Mac Daddy robot whose planet size just blasts this thing, and he's
eating planets.
Yeah,
he's eating planets
for fuel.
And he's just like, yep, no, we got this, boys.
Are just like, nah, ain't shit.
Their ship made of junk.
Their ship made of trash. You can't break what's already broken, I guess. And then they crash right in his eye, which, ow. Or optic.
This is... Yep.
Because, that's what they say.
I always like this scene because they show you the inner workings of Unicron. And it is just like a full-on anatomy.
Find it weird that he had like desk?
I don't remember desk.
I mean, like, he's got like buttons and shit.
Like, oh, you mean like things that it feels like you would see in a manufacturing plant?
Yeah, like it
because
that's
like
what
his inside just looks like a giant steel plant.
Yeah, because I work in a factory. I was like, do I work here? Do I work in Unicron?
He's got conveyor belts, all of it.
I mean, it's pretty well thought out animation-wise. That's pretty...
But those conveyor belts are just carrying all the other Transformers to their death, basically.
Just to fuel them so he can die. He's just one big trash compactor, really.
Yeah. Some of the Autobots, they get kind of sucked inside of Unicron. Most of them fall down one path, but Hot Rod gets knocked down a different path.
Him and Daniel, I'm pretty sure.
No. Hot Rod's by himself.
That's
Daniel
right.
goes down the path with like Springer, because Daniel and them, they find
Daniel,
like
RC, and Blur.
Blur and maybe even Springer, I think. But this is where like you kind of see that Spike and Bumblebee, they haven't died yet, but they're about to be like dropped into this like vat of lava to be melted down for energy, and Daniel saves them. He finally figures out how to use his exoskeleton.
This movie's only 86 seconds, so I think we're at like maybe the hour mark. Daniel has eventually pulled off being useful.
He's useless the entire movie.
Yeah, now that I have children, I'm a little bit more sympathetic to Daniel. Yeah, but also I would have just left him. This is not the place for a child to be.
Son, you are like 14.
Well, it wasn't Spike's idea to take him. Like, Spike was chill out at Autobot City.
But Spike left him by himself.
He had the robots to take care of it. I'm not giving Spike fucking Father of the Year, but he did put robots in charge of his son, at least.
He was supposed to have a mother in this movie. That was another thing that got wrote out of this.
Why?
I don't know. Because any mother would be like, no, you're not going to space.
That's why.
I want you to stop hanging out at Art City.
That mother would be as hated as Dragon Ball Z fans hate Chi-Chi for the fucking egregious crime of wanting her son to go to school.
Oh no, the tragedy. Get an education.
When you get older and you watch Dragon Ball Z, sometimes you're just like, Chi-Chi's requests are not that bad. It's like, get a driver's license and go have your son not fight monsters and go to school. I mean,
oh my God, you want your son to have a normal life that's not, your constant fear of him dying.
The last time you flew him to another planet, he got his neck snapped by a fucking homosexual lizard man. Maybe he just doesn't need to live that life.
Yep.
But I digress.
But this is also when you see that Hot Rod, the path he fell down, led him to Galvatron. And Hot Rod has went through this whole journey of growing up from
not being such a hothead.
Exactly. He battles Galvatron again, wrestles the matrix of leadership from him.
Oh, you can't skip that one cold line that Galvatron has, though.
Which one?
Galvatron's about to win
he
the
says,
fight. Where he's just like, Optimus, Ultra Magnus, now you Autobots gotta stop dying so easily, otherwise it's not going to be much of a challenge. And you're like, fuck, that's fine.
But hey, he couldn't back it up.
No.
But this is when, you said so yourself. Apparently Hot Rod just took one look at this matrix and was just like, I wonder what happens if I put my fingers in these holes.
These holes look a lot like finger holes.
And he unlocks the power
of leadership,
leadership, and he becomes the new Optimus. He actually becomes...
He becomes a Winnebago, is what he becomes.
He does.
I would be kind of shitty. I would be in a bad mood if I went from a fucking sports car
to a Winnebago.
A Winnebago. An ugly Winnebago.
A sports Winnebago.
Yeah, that's somehow worse. I can't really explain it, but that is a sports car Winnebago. Do we need to really need to go into detail as to why that's shitty?
He then becomes Rodimus Prime.
Also a bad name.
Awful name. He basically gets, beats the shit out of Galvatron. At this point, since the Matrix of Leadership is open, it is basically causing the worst indigestion ever for Unicron, to the point where he's about to blow up. They escape Unicron by driving out of his other eye.
What a terrible day.
And Unicron explodes. And it shows the Autobots on Cybertron having saved Cybertron. and the all hooray hurrah, we've saved the day, till all are one, till all are one.
And then the theme that played at the beginning plays at the end, all wrapped up.
Yes.
So here's a couple of other facts about this movie that we weren't really gonna get into. So other than the 2 Stan Bush songs, there was a man by the name of Vince DiCola. He did the soundtrack for the movie. He actually did Dare and The Touch.
Okay.
He made the music part. So when he made the other soundtracks tracks for this movie, if you go back and watch it, now that I say this, you might be able to kind of hear it. The music is a lot lower than normal movie music. And that's because Nelson Shin was just like not kind of feeling it, but it was too late in the production to really do anything else. So he just lowered the volume of the music. And so when Vince DiCola saw it, he wasn't really like devastated, but he's just like, well, that's disappointing. The other thing was there was not really much of a talk of doing a sequel. And that was because like the toy era of shows, it was kind of dying out.
Yeah, the government had kind of started like telling companies, hey, you guys can't just be making, 30-minute, hour-long TV commercials. You got to start having some educational approaches to it. The one thing I thought, because Andrew, I've always said, you take the soundtrack from this movie and you take the soundtrack from Rocky IV.
He did Rocky, yeah.
And these soundtracks like have the same feel. I actually read that The Touch was originally written for the Sylvester Stallone movie Cobra. Back in 86. So, I mean,
I could see that.
Sylvester Stallone, he's just got one type of music in his movies.
So, this movie was technically not well received.
No.
It was hold on. Shit, I had this up too. It had a budget of $6 million. Its opening weekend was $1.7 million. That's not a very strong opening weekend.
No.
Your opening weekend is the most important one. You're supposed to make all your money back in one weekend.
Yeah, that's like recent Disney movie opening.
$5.8 million overall. It did have a lot to compete with. I know the ones. So one of the movies it was competing with was Aliens.
Ooh.
And that's like...
Wait, no. The second one.
Yeah, Aliens, not Alien.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Aliens, The Karate Kid 2, Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. That's a tough lineup. The only two that I don't really know is A Fine Mess and One Crazy Summer.
So I feel like... But this movie was probably the only movie at that time that was targeted for kids. And here's the thing. If they would have never killed at least Optimus Prime, you could kill all the other ones, but keep Optimus alive, this movie would have crushed it.
Yeah,
but I think
really
because of all the news that started circulating about this movie, about kids crying and stuff like that, nobody wanted to take their kid.
The word of mouth of Optimus Prime dying definitely killed this movie. Like I said, there was a VHS. There was a talks of a sequel in this movie. There's a VHS release of The Five Faces of Darkness, which is kind of like when everything comes back and the rebirth, and they bring back Optimus Prime. A lot of what they say is Flint Dally recalls saying that really like when the Transformers came back from the movie, like the toy era of the show was ending.
Yep.
Hasbro had enough in syndication that there really wasn't a point in making anymore. And Stephen Hassenflend, the Hasbro chairman, who was like really championing these types of shows, he was dying. So it was kind of like it was basically over for that kind of stuff to be happening. As far as Transformers movies go now, we had to wait a few years. Michael Bay was put on the project at 2005, and then we got our first Transformers movie in 2007. I don't like them. I don't think I know anybody who truly does. So it's a weird road that the Transformers cinema has taken. They've never really, I mean, the original 86 movie is sadly the best one, and it had to take a cult following to really get it going. And I assume that nostalgia takes a big part of that. That's really all I gotta say. What are your closing thoughts on the movie, Joel?
Absolutely love the movie. I mean, it's got things that are wrong with it, but honestly, the soundtrack in it's amazing. Animation is solid. I mean, if you're a fan of the Transformers, like cartoons, if you like Transformers, you'll find enjoyment out of it. It's a fun ride.
So, without further ado, this has been a long comeback episode, but let's move to your new reoccurring segment, reviews that transform your worldview are reviews that decept you into a con.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was bad, but
that's
whatever.
A good one though. So I'm not going to read, lengthy ones.
Right.
Yeah, just for the sake of time. This is a 10 out of 10 titled The Most Exciting Movie Ever. This has got to be one of the best animated movies ever. It has all the hallmarks of great movies like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. It has the ultimate battle between good and evil and a story about how we must join together at any hard times in life. This film amazed me when I saw it. It made me laugh, it made me cry, and got me on the edge of my seat with the action. Not to mention the soundtrack, which is superb, with 2 tracks that amaze you, The Touch and Dale. Without a doubt, this is my favorite movie, and if you get a chance, watch it. So a 10 out of 10. And look, this thing, even though, it didn't have a great, time when it first came out, I think just with the process of time, a lot of people have went back, watched it, fell in love with it.
I have a review from when it came out from Karen James of the New York Times.
Yeah. What's that?
It's all this action may captivate young children, but the animation is not spectacular enough to dazzle adults. And then Pat Graham of the Chicago Reader called it a computer animated feature based on a popular TV cartoon show, further inspired no doubt by the philanthropic desire of Japanese and American toy manufacturers to keep their kiddie customers rolling in robots. So the reviewers, they didn't hold back. They knew what this was. This is a toy commercial.
Yep. I found a 1 out of 10. This guy said, even my 5-year-old hated this movie. I have to admit, I like the Transformers. I have several of the original action figures from 20 years ago, but this movie is garbage. The animation is horrible. Story does not make any sense, and the music has nothing to do with the story, and it's just a bunch of noise. the composer, also wrote the horrible score to Rocky IV. What a waste of talent. Orson Welles, Leonard Nimoy, and Robert Stack must have really needed the paycheck.
Damn.
This guy, this person, you can go jump off a cliff. Because I'm sorry, Rocky IV and this, some of the best soundtracks ever in movies.
Also, I remember we just watched it. The animation is pretty good.
The animation is solid. I don't know. This guy must have like a stick up his butt and just need the most like superb animation, modern animation. But for 85, 86, this animation
that's pretty solid.
Amazing.
I don't understand why the reviewers in 86 panned it for its animation. I thought it was okay.
Yeah. I
still
enjoy
think
it.
it's okay.
Yeah.
But I believe that wraps up The Transformers, the movie. If you would like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/cartoondd. There we have a $5 tier that gets you stickers, pins, access to our Discord, bonus episode, and episodes with extended audio. We also have a Twitter handle, Cartoon DD. We have a Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all Cartoon Dumpster Dive. If you'd like to send us an email, you can send that to cartoondumpsterdive@gmail.com. And as always, we appreciate a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choice. So we can keep doing this because we're back, baby.
We're back.
Unless you listen to us and you binged us from 1 and just got here, then we've never left. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya. Transformer. Dude, that intro just comes in so strong.
Oof. That intro is probably what inspired our strong ass intro.
Yeah, it probably did.
This has been a Lug Hole Podcast.